As an extension of Crab Week, I wanted to play a couple of decks on the weekend that were in the other direction. These are going to be decks that are designed to punish the mudcrab lists that are running around on the ladder. How am I doing that? Well, decks with Ice Storm for starters, but also decks with a lot of guards and just things that are going to be annoying to those lists. So we're going to start with Tribunal. This is a pretty typical control Tribunal list. However, it's got a lot more emphasis on guards and again, just things that are going to be super annoying. Some prophecies. I'm throwing even like the one reverberating strike for some of the Dwemer things that pop up. I'm running Lydia because again, they don't like guards, etc., etc. So anyway, like always, deck code will be in the video description, and we're going to go see if we can run into some of these crab lists and punish them. That is our goal at the moment. Now, knowing my luck, this of course means we won't run into any crab lists, but I'm still going to play 2 games, win or lose. What do we got? Alright, I don't think that this is going to be a crab player. This is going to be somebody on some sort of, in all likelihood, like aggressive try-hard list, as evident by them already being rank 3. They were playing on their holiday weekend. So we just have to try to survive. This is in here mostly because you can stop, after you Ice Storm the first Old Salties, you can stop that in its tracks, but also it's in there because even if they haven't played Old Salty, if you start pulling out their crabs, right, then you can... let's do it this way. If you start pulling out their crabs, then you can also make it so that Old Salty's Assault is just not very good, right? Like, if you've already killed one Ankle Snapper and then you hit it with this, suddenly Old Salty's Assault is just not a very attractive card. Alright, interesting. This is likely a control Daggett list. We are likely in this for the long haul. This is the exact opposite of the kind of deck we wanted to run into, because we do not have much of a greed package. I mean, we have Necromancer and like looping Galens and things of that nature, right? I mean, we do have that.
Watch yourself now.
So, speaking of anti-crab stuff, I'm running, I think, 1 or 2 of the Feasting Hungers in this list as well, because it's just a cheeky, fun anti-crab card. You can gain some health and at least put a speed bump in their way. Once you get to the point where you've got buffed Necromancers, this is something that you can pull back over and over again against their go wide boards to buy you time to find your Ice Storms. But yeah, this, if I had to guess, just based on the 2 cards that we've seen thus far, this is likely some sort of control list as well, and they're generating a lot of good early value. Alright, Dragon. Dragons it is, huh?
Your blood will spill.
Never give ground.
Just put a big body in front of it. I don't think we can actually beat this unless we, if we get our Necromancer chain up and running, that's one thing. But we haven't drawn any of that. No pieces to that puzzle. And they're just going to have much bigger bodies than us with this dragon list. Now we could Piercing Twilight Glacial just to get rid of some of their big bodies. I think I'm okay with that. I don't want to deal with that anymore. Just also trying to figure out what I want to do about this. We could Feasting Hunger in front of it, and then that at least gets damage on it, so that if we Ice Storm at some point, that's fine. But the reality is I kind of want him to break a rune. I think we're in a position where breaking Our first rune is fine.
I'll teach you to disrespect a thorn.
But here come the dragons. So again, I think here we're just trying to set ourselves up for an okay ice storm. I kind of want to play this on here, but again, late game, I feel like it's going to come down to whether or not we can loop Necromancer, so I think we might actually want to hold on to that. Developing Barrowstalker makes an awful lot of sense. However,
I smell the
so I think we'll do that.
stench of the living.
I'll teach you to disrespect.
Alright, so Tazcad is annoying. Tazcad's a bit of a problem. So we're gonna go with this. Could reverb it. And then that means we're only taking 4. Could throw a body in front of it. And then we're taking 1. And leaving behind the 4/4 that way as well. I think we want to do this. They still have an awful lot of cards in their hand. I mean, they are just punishing us with these big-bodied
Spirits
dragons.
of oblivion,
Oh.
arise.
And, alright, so this is a... I don't... Maybe it's just all the other cards in their hand. Like, I don't know how this deck beats aggro decks. Just throwing this out there. Like, this is feels super greedy. But it's perfect against us. It's absolutely perfect against us. I think we're just dead, right?
At the ready.
Yeah, it's the best that we got,
citizen.
but it's not great. I would wager that we're dead. And this is just a bad matchup, so... Or even if it's not a bad matchup, like, they just ran into all the right cards to make it a bad matchup.
We must protect our stronghold.
Unless everything else that's in their hand is just defensive options, I don't know how that deck beats aggro decks. I mean, other than Ice Storm. They're clearly a deck that's also going to be running Ice Storm with all those dragons, but... Ow. It's a good way to absolutely punish my anti-Tribunal. Grizzly Gourmet is not going to be helpful in that particular matchup. My guards were not particularly helpful in that matchup. Alright. J-Lades here is for sure on either Token Spell Sword or is playing around with crabs. This goes back for sure. I think this goes back as well. We need some early defensive options. I mean, I suppose there's a chance that things go differently in that other game if we just draw the other cards. We didn't see any Necromancers. We didn't see any of our, like, Shrieking Harpies or things where we could kind of continue to lock down the board. Speaking of the devil.
Watch yourself now.
This actually isn't half bad for us.
Did I stutter or something?
This It's likely mechanical ally. And it whiffed. That is not great for them, but it's pretty good for us.
Face me, you
Just got to keep their stuff off the board. We do not have an Ice Storm in hand this time, though. Naturally.
That's one trick I'll have to learn.
Going up to 4 for Rift and Pickpocket. That's what they got with the crab, huh? What are they taking from me? I mean, ideal pickups for an aggro deck like this would probably be something like Sorcerer's Negation. You could use to deal with some of my defensive options. We did find our Ice Storm though, so that's good. Just try to slow him down a wee bit. Alright, so I think we're gonna do this. I think I like that the best. This Edict is a great pickup because that gives us an answer to hulls if and when the time comes. Gotta love the new Crushing Blow animation to
Should've just let me pick your pocket.
match the mace.
Come, do my bidding.
Okay, I see you. This is likely gonna get Mudcrab Merchant because they want the card. Shadow marking, huh?
I'll get this yet.
I think we will save that. We get kind of punished by Dynamo here, but not too bad. Alright, so there's an old Salties.
Merchant, read my lips. Mouth paws.
So they're basically just forcing the Ice Storm there.
Did I stutter or something?
Or at least trying to force the Ice Storm. I suppose it's not really a requirement. We could just use this negation. So we could go like
I smell
Barrow
the
Stalker,
stench of the living.
Explorer, negation. Just try to defend with bodies for a bit. I mean, we are at 26 health, and this is such a powerful card in this matchup. Being that it's Spell Sword, they don't really have many options for charge. It would be something like the horse, the Shadow Meme. So they have to have an established board for them to get their burst anyway, and so we want them to establish that board before we really Ice Storm. And while that last turn kind of gets us there, it also resets, right? Like right now we're hoping, wow, okay. This has the potential to be a bit of an issue. Now the question becomes, do I use an Edict on that or do we still save it for hulls? Because this has the potential to be very annoying. There's the sphere.
Did I stutter or something?
Alright, I'll bite. What do I want to give them? I don't want to give them that. So I think we're going to give them the blade.
I am sworn to protect you.
I think we're going to give them the blade and just drop a Lydia here. just to try to make them go through that. Dawn's Wrath. That is what they got with the pickpocket. How interesting. Got rid of my Lazura, which makes this slightly less attractive, but...
For Whiterun.
Get rid of that.
The hiss shall be.
Soldiers, form up.
Let's get rid of that. Go ahead and drop the Praetorian. We're playing the long game at this point. Alright. There is the dynamo that we have been expecting for quite a bit. It's not quite enough to get them through Lydia on their own, though. So warding Lydia is an okay trade over there. This hunger is going to get us some value as well, which is kind of nice. So we'll go ahead and do that.
Watch yourself now. For Whiterun.
Go ahead and do that as well. We'll make this trade. Now our choices are Lightning Bolt or the Initiate. I think we save the Initiate. I think Bolt is fine here. Let's just get rid of that. We're not in a position where we need to start draining necessarily, and I think that just keeping their board tampered down and forcing them to slowly run out of resources makes the most sense. I mean, we basically still have two of the more powerful cards in this matchup at our disposal. So I'm trying to weather the Haunted Manor Storm and not use Edict on it, but... they may well have forced our hand. Getting rid of old Salties here makes an awful lot of sense with this. Might actually need to use the Edict on this now that they're just down to the one card. That actually makes an awful lot of sense as well. Because then we could also trade into that.
I will have your head.
I think we'll go ahead and do this. Hit the old Salties.
For Whiterun. Speak, citizen.
And, alright. This is definitely still going to be annoying. And we're basically out of cards ourselves. This would be a great time for us to top deck something like Thaden. Okay. It's another mudcrab merchant card I was not expecting, and this is one hell of a Yagram. Because they're going to get back whatever they want, but this is also going to get buffed. Wow. Frost Giant. Frost Giant is a giant threat. And this is also going to be insane here. This Ice Storm's actually not doing us a whole lot of good at the moment.
Ita Oriel.
So I think we do that.
Speak,
And then we just wait and hope that we top deck something to deal with this Frost Troll. And they're going to take some trades here. But our hope, I think, is to get things low enough that this Ice Storm will be relevant. You know, they can trade with Yagram. Ally will turn on Catapult here. Well, or the other card. Like they'll have a way to turn on Catapult, right? So Catapult will trade. I assume Yagram trades. Wow, that takes it out of Ice Storm range as well. We need to find our own Dawn Trap.
To be reduced to violence at my age.
Or just another ice storm, I guess.
Mudcrab merchant.
A second ice storm is entirely fine. Like, we would double ice storm this board, and it's two of our more powerful cards, but it would put them on, like, basically nothing. Yeah. Come on, second ice storm. That is not a second ice storm. So, I do think we still use the first one here, because we can clean this up. It'll just leave them with this, so. We gotta get rid of that. Just jump in front of this. And now, me and my opponent are both in top deck mode.
To be reduced to violence at my age.
I feel like I'm supposed to edict this, but again, I just really don't want hulls to pop up. They're about halfway through their deck. But if this is another creature that they were holding on to get more hulls value, yeah, I think this just has to go. Only one edict left. Hulls is probably going to come down.
Over. It's time to act.
Nope, but they were holding on to it, so. They hit us there, this will take us down to 21. No, interesting, they don't even want to take me to 21. Oh. There's not a lot of big things that I really need to worry about javelining anymore. Let's just pull the most damage off the board. We're kind of worried about this, but we got rid of Old Salty, right? So using that to flood the board's not as much of a concern for us.
Training is over. It's time to act.
We're certainly not going to use Dawn's Wrath there.
You can't defeat me.
Now they find a hulls. There's a very big dwarven spider for the record. Alright, this is okay. Turns out that's a pretty good top deck. That's the kind of win condition we're looking for. Now they probably run edicts in their own deck, and we have not seen them yet, so that is a concern.
You fight like a child.
It seems I'm
Happy to take that value trade. We're gonna end up making another one over there, so I think just defending over here makes sense. I think we do this and this. Save the Wrath. Because even if they're running Crushing Blow, and we know they are at 4, we're still safe there. And we get the concession. So, our anti-crab deck beat crabs. Lost horribly to dragons, but beat crabs. So that's the important part, right? It did its job. That's 2 games, win or lose. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, may you walk on warm sands.